Hello, welcome to Sydney Stoma channel. My name's Chris. How are you? Hope you're doing okay. So welcome to part 3 of my little mini series of a colonoscopy through the stoma. If you haven't watched part 1 and part 2, you're just interested in hearing about the procedure. Yes, I have a stoma. I haven't got a rectum. That's all been removed, which is why I've done this video about having a colonoscopy through the stoma. So it was the first time I've had a colonoscopy through the stoma, so I thought, well, I've got to do a video about that process and what it was like through having a colonoscopy through a stoma. So I went yesterday for the colonoscopy and I was booked in. I went through the risk assessment, the usual lots of questions we certainly get asked in UK hospitals that you end up repeating to everybody. They have to go through their risk assessments. They hand you to someone else and you go through it all over again, the same old questions. So I went through all of that and then got changed into the gorgeous hospital gown, which I'll attach a photo to at the end of this video, and then sat and waited, as you do with UK hospitals. I'm pretty sure they book a number of people in for the same time and then decide what order they're going to do them in when you get there. So I waited quite a while. My appointment was at 2:30. I think it was nearer 4 o'clock by the time I went in to actually have the procedure. Part of the procedure, you can elect in the UK to have a couple of options really, because there's pain relief, sedation and gas and air. So I have all three. Why not? Take it. It helps. So I elected for sedation. Now sedation doesn't put you to sleep, it just makes you feel rather relaxed and just takes away some of the discomfort, if you like. Really effective drug and works really well. And over time you forget. Your memory deletes it as to what went on. So yeah, I always have the sedation if I'm having a colonoscopy, as well as gas and air if you need it. So I went into the room, and normally when you have a colonoscopy, you lie on your side, you tuck your knees up under your chin and they insert the camera through your rectum. Well, as I haven't got that, then this time I was laying on my back. Laying on my back, so stomach's on show, and they put the cannula in, started putting some sedation in, and then they started the procedure. So I found it a bit strange, the thought process of seeing a camera going into my stomach, and I knew I'd have to have a look, and I did, and it did look a bit strange watching it being pushed in. That did seem a bit strange. They also used a slightly smaller camera as well to go into a stoma, because the stoma is not going to open up as much as a rectum can, so they did use a smaller scope, which I think did ease some of the discomfort. So the scope went in and it went up, so my stoma's over this side, so it went in via, if you like, my descending colon, and then you've got the transfer colon and then the ascending colon down that side. So it went in this side, up the, I've just got myself confused, descending colon, and it went in that side. Now it only looks at the large intestine, it doesn't go all the way through the small intestine, it can't do that, it only looks at your large, right the way around to the terminal ileum where it meets the small intestine. So as it comes up, everything was fine, not really having much discomfort, feeling okay. But then as it starts going across the transverse colon, I've got a loop in mine, which does cause a problem. That means they've really got to try and get that scope through, they've really got to push it through, which then does cause some discomfort. So for that part, I did have to move onto my side to make it easier. I turned over to my left, I turned over to my left for them to be able to push it, rather than trying to push down, because I was laying on my back. On the side they can kind of push it up a bit more to push through that loop. That was uncomfortable, and at that point I did elect to have some gas and air. So I was sucking away on the gas and air until they got through that, and once they were through that, by that point I was engaging in conversation with them. I was talking to them whilst they were doing the process, and because I was now lying on my side, I had the screen in front of me, so I had a clear view of my intestines, which is a remarkable thing to see. So if you do have a colonoscopy, it is quite a good way of taking your mind off what's going on, is actually looking at the screen and looking at what seeing what the camera is seeing the insides of your intestines. So I got quite fixed on that, and I was talking to the guy that was doing the scope, and that made it a lot easier. It made it a lot easier to deal with that discomfort, because you're engaging in conversation. He's constantly talking to you about what he's doing and how he's doing it and what he can see as they gradually move round to the ascending colon and down there. Now, I've had some issues, which is why I had the colonoscopy. We thought I had a stricture, but there isn't one. Looking at my intestines, it didn't need a medical person to see that, to know that my actual intestines inside looked really good. They looked extremely healthy, but that's the large. So for the small, but perhaps I've got a problem in my small, that's going to have to be an MRI to have a look at that. But my large intestine looked really good, really healthy, really good blood vessels in there. So we don't know what the problem is now. Now we're back to the drawing board as what is the problem I'm having? Why is my poo, if you like, not moving around my intestines when they look so healthy? It's a difficult one. But between myself and the medical teams, I'm sure we'll get to the bottom of it eventually. But it's a bit strange because everything else about my Crohn's has got the hump. I've got joint pains, I've got fatigue, and everything else says the Crohn's isn't active. So I do have fibromyalgia as well, so I don't know if that's kind of kicking in or if I'm having issues with that. Who knows? We'll work it out. But in terms of the actual procedure itself, we had to come out very slowly when they're bringing the scope backwards because of that loop. Did need to go around that quite slowly because what you don't want to do is it goes around that loop. You don't want to cause any tears, etc. in the intestines. So the scope did come out really slowly, a little bit uncomfortable, but only when it was going around the loop that I've got in my transverse colon, the one that goes across your top. That was the only time it ever really got uncomfortable. I mean, it wasn't super painful, it was just uncomfortable, but with the sedation and the gas and air helped me through that. And when the scope came out, I didn't even realise it was out until they said it's out. So yeah, about 45 minutes I think that whole process was of actually having the scope put in. A great team that were doing it, always kept me informed of what they were doing, happy to chat as well, which is nice, but it was just amazing to see it on the screen. So yeah, if you are in that position, watch the screen if you can see the screen. Certainly in the UK you can, and it's worth watching. It's worth seeing inside your intestines, and then you know what's going on in there as well. You will know if there's something that looks like it shouldn't be there, so you will get to see it yourself, and that's fantastic. So the good news is my large intestine is looking really good. The bad news is we just don't know what's causing me problems now. But there you go, that's life, isn't it? We'll work it out eventually. So the procedure itself, yeah, no real dramas, quite straightforward. I'd certainly have no fears about having a colonoscopy through the actual stoma site again. Would I say it was a pleasant experience? No. But it was educational, and I enjoyed talking to the team that were doing it, and I like I say, I loved seeing it on the screen. But if you get the chance, if you have a colonoscopy and try the sedation definitely helps. I don't know what it's like for in the States or anywhere else in the world, what kind of pain relief you get having a colostomy, a colonoscopy rather, but yeah, certainly in the UK or certainly at my hospital you're offered sedation and some other pain relief that they put in intravenous, and you've got gas and air as well. So all in all, yeah, positive experience, not one that I'd be worried about in the future. So that was it, that was the procedure. No real dramas. I hope that helped, and I hope if you are having a colonoscopy through the stoma, I hope this video helps. If you've already had one through the stoma, put something in the comments, tell me how it went for you. And any other questions you've got, whack it in the comments and I will aim to answer as many questions as I can. There you go, that's me all done. If you've watched all 3 parts, thank you very much for watching all 3 parts. I hope it's been okay. If you're only just watching this part, that's fine as well, because this part's quite important because it's mainly about the procedure. But for everyone that's watched, well, to everyone that watches all my videos and all 3 parts of this, thank you very much. Thank you to everybody that subscribes and likes, and more importantly, thank you for commenting. I love reading your comments and replying to them. I'm all done. Thank you very much, and I'll see you all very soon on another video. Take care. Bye now.